Hi, teacher. It's a pleasure to film a video for one of your activities again. My name is Bianca Pichowski, and I am a student of your subject, Syntax and Teaching Grammar. This activity, the intention is to give tips to teach objects. So I prepared a presentation that I hope you like. It's quite simple, but I think it's more important. Well, just the content of these tips. Let me just share with you my presentation and start the activity. Sorry. Okay, so the title, as I said, of this activity is Tips to Teach Objects. As we know, there are three types of object, the direct, the indirect, and the oblique object. So number one, we will go to to the easiest of objects, the direct one. So number one, I would just ask what? It's just a simple activity um, that we can practice, especially with low-level students or with young students. We practice the parts of the sentence and we use the question what. The students are asked about the question doing what, making what, cooking what. Leia is fighting the empire. Leia is fighting what? The empire. Okay, and we can use the three fingers to show them just the three parts of the sentence that we are using right now. Leia is fighting what? What is she fighting? The teacher is teaching the class, is teaching English, maybe is teaching biology. The teacher is teaching what? Biology, English, okay? And number two, coloring the sentences. This is an activity that I really like and I use it with my students. They really enjoy it. They can color the different parts of the sentence using, of course, three different colors. We can use one color, sorry, for the whole class, only for the object. So the teacher is teaching what? The students are learning what? The giraffe is drinking what? I I am just thinking about a number of sentences, and the object can be colored just in one color that I give to all the students, like yellow, orange, etc. So number two, we have the indirect object. So here we have, and again, it might seem repeated, but again, we can use now four colors when coloring sentences. That's my tip number one. As I said, I've used it and it looks good, it looks beautiful, and students enjoy it, and they can learn in stages the two kinds of objects. So there we go again, and we can give specific colors to each object. Again, we can ask the questions what and now who or to whom, and we use the fingers, right? So Leia gives, look, a kiss. Okay? So we can use the fingers and ask again. Leia gives what? Okay, a kiss. Sorry, a kiss. Okay, a kiss to whom? To Luke. Okay, Leia gives Luke a kiss. And we color again, highlighting or underlining, tracing over the words as well. And we have here a great game that could work even face to face or virtually, which is an action ball or spinning wheel. Face to face, a student can catch a ball with a post-it or a paper on it that says an action, or we can have two spinning wheels, one for the name of the student and one for the action. spin both wheels, and give each student an action. Depending on the time, the level of the students, we can decide whether the other students say the direct and indirect object, or we decide if the student that is taking the action will decide it. So we say Eduardo receives a ball, or we spin the wheels and he receives the action land. So he will decide, or the other students will decide, what will he lend, and who to whom will he lend this object. So maybe Eduardo will end up saying, or the other students will end up saying, Eduardo lends Priscilla his colors. We are using here very evident verbs that can receive an indirect object, like give, lend, um, or maybe take, etc. And finally, we have the oblique object. I found this a little bit of difficult maybe to investigate. And I think it's the most difficult one. That's why the explanation is a little bit longer. We have here find a preposition. I would say this is maybe an activity for primary. I normally say to my students when they pretend to be detectives to put on their imaginary glasses and just adjust them to look for the preposition. I may give them a list on the board, and then on the sentences they find a preposition. Doing like this, and then they look at the word next to the preposition. Okay? For example, a letter to Harry, a letter to Han. Okay? And then tip number 2 would be the difference between the indirect object and oblique object. They can be confusing if when the oblique object talks about a person. Okay? Let's remember that it can be a noun. A noun can be for place, person, thing, idea. So in the preposition, in the sentence, okay, I eliminate the preposition and students have to correct it, okay? And students see Batman phones her best friend all the time to talk Anakin. So we have here 3 different persons, people, Padme, her best friend, and Anakin. So we have to identify, first of all, the 3 subjects and say what function has each one of it. So, okay, so who is the protagonist of the sentence? Padme. So Padme is definitely not one of the objects. So who do you think Padme phones? Her best friend or Anakin? What do you think? Okay, so maybe I would choose, of course, more evident names of girl and boy, just because I like Star Wars. I hope you like it too. Um, and I asked them, who do you think she phones? And of course, we see best friend. Okay, maybe she phones her best friend. And what? Oh, all the time. Very good. And what does she do when she phones her friend? She talks with Anakin? No, she talks with her best friend, right? Okay, she talks without Anakin. That doesn't make any sense, right? So I can go on with more prepositions maybe and try that they make the sense out of it. And I end up giving them more clues like you talk a topic, you talk music, you talk to a topic, you talk with music, no, you talk about. So she talks all the time about Anakin. Very good. I'm sorry if I extended too long or if I talk too much about Star Wars. I'm really sorry about that. I think many of my activities have been about that. So sorry if I get a little bit annoying. Teacher, thank you so much for paying attention to my to my activity. I hope you like it and I hope I'm right. I hope to get your comments about it, and your feedback is really important to me. Thank you so much again, and I hope you have a great day, teacher. See you next activity.